good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel. I'm your biology teacher Aishwarya and I welcome you to today's class where we are going to be discussing some super interesting questions for ANTHE, that is Akash National Talent Hunt exam that is happening this year in October. And of course, we will be doing the biology syllabus discussion, along with which I will be doing top 15 super duper interesting questions. So I hope all of you are excited for this class, and if you are, please make sure that you let me know in the comments. And of course, I hope that my live audience, my audio, my video and my screen and whatever I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up to let me know that we are good to go. Yes, good evening Harshit, good evening Ashwini, good evening AV, good evening Team 7 guy, good evening Pranjal, yes, hello Kailash, yes, Cosmo Talk is here. Okay, I think Cosmo Talk is Ishan, he keeps telling everybody calls me like that. I hope I remember it right, or was that artist? Sometimes, you know, we remember you by your user handles, which is also why we always tell you that write your real names. It makes it easy for us. Good evening, Manshika, Ashwini, I can see Abraham, Sherbanu, Premavati, hello, welcome all of you, right? So, hello, Aditya, yes, I will remember now. If I forget again, just remind me, okay? But I will always remember Cosmo Talk. Hello, Laksha, hello, Mokshita, yes, hello, Chandrakant, Sanya, Singh, Mokshita, hello, Subhash, okay, now I will remember you also. Hello, Subhash, okay, yes. Good evening, everybody. So I hope you're all excited. Now, of course, as you all know, right, we have ANTHE, which is Akash National Talent Hunt exam coming up, and I'm going to tell you a lot more about it. But before that, when you come to my class, I hope that you have your notebooks and your textbooks ready with you. I hope you have your stationery ready with you, your water bottles, and of course, a quiet place to study and focus. Now, a few things which I know you may ask me all throughout today's class is that this week I will not be doing any Menti quiz. That means today's quiz is not. Today, no Menti. Whoever comes in later, please tell them also. There is no Menti today. Because I always tell you that the first set of sessions we do, we will have to solve, understand and learn. Then when you do Menti, it is more easy for you because there all you can do is just give the answer, right? So today no Menti, next week though Menti will come. Poll today, sadly, because my class ran late, we don't have anybody for poll, so can we all adjust today a little bit? Next time when I come, I will make it a point that poll is also there today, sadly. Otherwise, let me do one thing. Let me see if I can generate polls from my phone. I'll try my best to get polls, but most likely I'd make it a point. And yes, Pankaj brought me to the other point. I don't ignore anybody. I am also a human being, right? So sometimes when I'm teaching, I will not look at the chat. So I am not ignoring. As you can see, I just started the class. So I have not ignored anybody just yet. So please make it a point that you don't unnecessarily say that in class. If I miss your doubt consecutively, then okay, I will give that. But see, we are all adults. No, I'm not going to treat you like children. You are all young adults, to be honest. So here, of course, we are in an environment where we are here to study, learn, practice. And of course, most importantly, get yourself prepared for competitive exams. Now, before I jump into a little bit about telling about ANTHE and everything, I want all of you here to tell me in the live class, how many of you intend to write competitive exams, right? Whether it be JEE or whether it be NEET or any other type of competitive exams, how many of you here are planning to write that? Yes? Brinda wants to write, okay. Subhash wants to write, Ashwini, Yashita, I can see AB. So can you tell me, do you want to write JEE or do you want to write NEET, or what competitive exams do you want to write? IAS, NEET. Who wants to write NEET? Manju wants to write NEET. I can see Aditya saying NEET. Many of you saying me, NEET. AB is writing NEET. Okay. Shubham is writing JEE, unknown, Gayatri JEE, okay, JEE, oh, a lot of JEE kids, okay, NEET, UPSC, very good, JEE and NEET, don't know if I can really crack it, CLAT, that's very good, very interesting, ma'am, not me, it's okay if you don't want to write also, ma'am, spam JEE, why you spamming JEE, NEET, I can see it's a good mix of JEE and NEET as well, right, now of course, see, let me tell you, now, if you want to write both JEE and NEET, I'm very proud, right? Now let me tell you, cracking JEE or NEET is not a easy task. It's a mammoth task. Okay, let me be clear. I'm not going to lie, right? It's not easy. Requires a little bit of effort, right? Tomorrow you want to write MBA also, you have to write CAT exam you have to write. Yes. Similarly, at some point, even if you say, ma'am, I want to take a path where I don't need to write any competitive exam, not possible. At some point, whether it be whatever you do, you have to give competitive exams, which means that you cannot one fine day wake up and say, yes, I am ready for competitive exams. This requires a lot of practice as well. I gave NEET, right? I gave NEET. Very obvious, right? I gave NEET. So now, of course, as you can see, that is where ANTHE comes into the picture. So you have ANTHE, which stands for Akash National Talent Hunt Exam. And as you all know, this right here is happening in October. So most likely after your midterm exams. Now many of you are done with midterm. But for many of you whose midterm is not done, around this time is when your midterm exams are going to happen. Now, I mean, the ANTHE exam is going to happen. Now, of course, you see both offline, online modes are there. These are the dates. For offline, some registration fee is there. Online is absolutely free, right? Now here, what I want to focus on a little more is about the number of questions. Now for grade 10, in ANTHE especially, we see that there is an examination or there is an option which says for JEE aspirants and there is an option which says for NEET aspirants, right? How many of you have checked out the ANTHE website? How many of you here have checked out the ANTHE website and seen that there is a section especially for grade 10? It is there for JEE aspirants as well as NEET aspirants. So here for JEE and NEET, you will understand the difference is that for NEET mainly, it will be PCB, while for JEE, it will be PCM. Just like your pattern, right? It's just like the similar pattern where you see that for JEE, for ANTHE, I'm telling you, it will be PCM with mental ability. Here it is going to be PCB with mental ability or your aptitude, right? So now, today if you're attending bio class, then we know that mainly it will be for your NEET aspirants, right? And total we will have 40 questions. It's going to be MCQ based, out of which your science questions, you will see that you will have 10 questions from physics, you will have 10 questions from chemistry, you will have 12 questions from biology, because for NEET, biology, especially botany, zoology, hold a lot of weightage, and about 8 questions from mental ability. JEE ka you can check with, say, Khushbu ma'am, or you can check with, Saurabh Sakriti ma'am, they'll be able to tell you, because I have not checked the JEE ka question split. Now, total 90 marks you will have, 1 hour exam, no negative marking. Right? Can you still sign up for ANTHE? Absolutely. You can write ANTHE. Even now you can register. But registrations will close very soon. So 7 days before for offline and 3 days before for online. So register very, very soon. Right? Mock tests are also available. Okay? So now this was a quick understanding about the NEET batch, right? Or rather I would say for NEET aspirants, if you want to write biology, you will have to go for the NEET aspirants ka, that you'll have to click that particular one and then only you will be able to do. Now what are the chapters that is coming? Life processes and control coordination, and also how do organisms reproduce. Now on the channel we've not yet started how do organisms, but I know many of you have done how do organisms, right? Maybe from your school you would have covered how do, or else maybe from my end, see, mostly third chapter, I'm thinking that when most of your midterm exams get over, I will do how do organisms once again. And board examination front may, let me tell you one thing, this chapter holds lot of weightage. How do chapter, when I want to teach or when I will come and teach how do chapter, I will easily take 3 to 4 hours to do that chapter, because lot of tricky questions will come from this chapter. Which is why what I would request, right? Halwa chapter, I know it is Halwa chapter, but sometimes some application based questions come, right? Yes, I would prefer to do it in one shot, because now we don't have time. Okay, but I will break it up also, don't worry. All your practice will happen. Yes, so now don't worry, I know it's little confusing, but we're here for you. So today what I'm going to do today, see, although there are some questions from how do organisms, the chapter topics from this chapter you have learnt in your lower grades. So what I'm going to do, we are going to do some refresher concepts. So I will also be teaching a little bit today, right? So today I will also teach a little bit, especially for how to topic, life process control coordination. I am expecting that you guys will crack it. And lots of competency practice is going to be there today. Yes, lot of competency practice will come. So today is going to be very, very interesting. I love the questions we have today, so I hope that you all stay with me till the very end, right? I request you that give me 1 hour, 1.5 hours of time, because it'll be worth it. That's my promise to you. Yes? So quickly going through the biology syllabus, life process may we have nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. Then control coordination may we have our usual topics. How do may types of reproduction, modes of reproduction, sexual reproduction in humans, and reproductive health, right? Ma'am, are these questions most likely to come in ANTHE? Yes, because some of them are ANTHE PYQs. And next week also we will be doing ANTHE PYQs. Yes? Sure. So very quickly, students, hope you are all excited, and if you are, don't forget to hit the like button on the video, right? Very, very important that you hit the like button, and of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. So Khushbu ma'am is going to be bringing a lot of mental ability sessions as well. You can let her know tomorrow also that you would like to have some mental ability sessions with her. So all the best. Offline, I think you'll have to go to Akash Center and give the offline exams. Or in some cases, there have been tie-up with schools where you can give it in school as well. So in the nearest Akash Center, you can give it, right? But why to give ANTHE? If you want to get an understanding of how competitive exams feel like, that too here you're not getting any negative marking. कुछ नहीं जा रहा है in giving ANTHE, right? At least from your end, it's not like it's getting counted in board examination. But this will be very handy for you when you jump into 11th and 12th because suddenly you are in the real world, right? So if you've seen Barbie movie, I don't know how many of you watched it, but if you have, there's a thing which says real world. So when you move out of 10th standard is when you're slowly stepping into the real world where there's competition. Suddenly the world has become so much more bigger than it is there. So it becomes scary. It does. I was very scared when I was in 11th and 12th. I was like, will I even finish studying this syllabus? It looks never ending to me. But don't worry. It will happen, right? ANTHE gives you confidence. ANTHE gives you courage. ANTHE will tell you ki, I will be able to crack it, right? So that is what I want to tell you, okay? Online is also available. Don't be afraid. I know India, I was very afraid that even you guys would turn up to class because of the match. Not bad. Okay, ma'am, एक और बार समझा दो. Just, बच्चा, if you don't mind, Rudra Pratap, you rewind and you come back. You'll be able to watch. Okay, so we don't have polls today, which means you have to adjust with me a little bit, but I know you'll all love today's class. So let's get started, students, with question number 1 on your screens, right? Question number 1, easy peasy, this is lemon squeezy question. During photosynthesis, splitting of water molecules yield what? See, we are starting with, just like how when we start a big buffet, we start with soup, we start with, I say, small items, So just like that, we're starting with a very easy question. It yields oxygen only, hydrogen and oxygen, light energy, or carbon dioxide and water. I mean, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. So you clearly know that option D is not the answer because I didn't even bother reading the option properly. Salad, ma'am. Yeah, it's a salad, no? Starting with salad. Yes. Splitting of water. What is splitting of water? We know that water molecules will split, or we require light energy to split water molecules, and this is what we call as photolysis, right? Yes, so we know that when photolysis happens, water molecules will split and give me what? It is going to give me hydrogen. This is a very oversimplified one, but this of course is not the case. So we know that will yield to give me hydrogen ions, and it is also going to give me oxygen. Now, of course, when you balance this out, we see that ions are balanced in this manner, and thereby this will give you oxygen gas, right? This is just a rough balancing. So in this case, correct answer is option B, hydrogen and oxygen. But remember that they are not in molecular form, they exist as ions, right? So that's something we need to remember. Now we will go on to the next question. Now, we have jumped into a chapter that many of you may or may not have covered, but this is simple, okay? Observe the given image and you need to identify which of the following label structures help in the exchange of nutrients and waste products between embryo and mother. Now, these are your 4 options, so you will have to tell me which among these 4 options is correct. Okay. Now, it's okay if you don't know the answer. If you don't know, it's fine. Take a guess, right? All of you, please take a guess. It's okay if you don't know. Now, this right here is from How Do Organisms Reproduce, and we're talking about development of a young baby. Now, we know that development that is there of the fetus takes place inside the mother's body. Now, if you look at the female reproductive system, very quickly to draw and give you a quick refresher, we know that the female reproductive system that is there, the main reproductive organ that is there are the ovaries, right? Now, we know that the ovaries produce the female gamete, right, which is the reproductive cell that is involved in reproduction. Now, the reproductive cell here is ovum. So this ovum will get released and it will be released inside. Similarly, because in human beings, sexual reproduction takes place, we know that there are 2 reproductive cells involved. one from the male and one from the female. So we know that the male reproductive cell, or the male gamete as we call it, is what we call as sperm. So the sperm also meets and fertilization happens here. Now on that note, once fertilization happens, it results in the formation of zygote. This zygote will then come and it will attach itself to the pear-shaped structure you see, which is uterus. Literally what I'm explaining right now is a crash course, so don't worry. Don't worry if you've not understood in detail, I will teach you in detail, okay? Uterus is our pear-shaped structure that is there where the development happens. Now, over a period of time, your zygote becomes an embryo. Embryo will become your fetus, right? Now, here what do you see? This big peak, what you see, this right here is the muscular sac. So, P here is uterus. While what you see here, this whole part, no, it's enclosed in a sac-like structure, and there is this disc-like structure you see here. It's not very evident, but there is a discoid organ, rather I would say, right? So there is a disc-like structure which connects the baby or the fetus to the mother, right? So Q is what is connecting my fetus, right? We see that Q is a structure here, and there's a cord that is connecting my fetus and baby, fetus and mother. So Q here is what we call as placenta. Now this placenta is very important because it helps in exchange of nutrients, oxygen and waste material between embryo and baby. So in this case, what do we see? Q is the structure involved, which is why the correct answer is option B, right? So correct answer here is option B. Are you all clear? Or did my explanation go, "Arey ma'am, it went above my head," right? People as a resource, very soon. Yes? Very, very soon. Are we clear? Ma'am, can we say fetus as infant? No. Fetus is the developing one. Infant is after delivery is what we say baby. So until the baby is inside the mother's womb, we will refer to it as fetus, or we say young one. But infancy is between 0 to 1 year, right? Okay. No ma'am, mind के अंदर आ गया. ठीक है, Subhash, very good. Ma'am, where is umbilical cord present? So the umbilical cord, let me go back to that, this one, yeah. So this umbilical cord is what is connecting your fetus and the placenta, right? So that is there. समझ में आ गया? अरे, awesome. Okay. So now we are clear with this. Ma'am, what is S and R? So SR that is there is actually, it's not there in your syllabus at all, but R is actually the amniotic sac. So it's a sac-like structure inside which the baby is there, and inside we have the amniotic fluid. So S is amniotic fluid. Okay. Ma'am, samajh nahi aa gaya? Arey koi nahi. It's a crash course that is going on for how do organisms. I will teach you in greater detail. So don't worry. Okay. Use of umbilical cord, it actually connects, right? It actually connects. Endometrium and myometrium. Endometrium, myometrium are all layers of the uterus in general, right? So uterus has your endometrium, myometrium and your outside covering that is there. So that is different. Okay. Next up is again a question on how do organisms reproduce. Which of the following, now I feel like I should have rearranged the question, but okay. Which of the following 4 methods of propagation is likely to yield maximum variation in DNA sequence through generation? Budding in hydra, binary fission, reproduction in humans, or vegetative propagation of sugarcane? Ma'am, you are ignoring me. Chandrasekhar, nahi, I'm not ignoring. Ma'am, bring difficult questions. It's coming. I always tell you the first ones are the easy ones that I do. Very good, very good. So proud that you all know the answer to this, but this is simple, right? So quickly to explain the terminologies that we have used. Now these terminologies are important because we're talking about maximum variation in DNA sequence. Now see, in all these cases when we talk about reproduction, right? What is reproduction? Reproduction can be simply defined as the process by which living organisms, right? So we see that living organisms, they produce young ones. Okay, so they produce young ones of their own kind. So if you look at it, a dog will produce its own kind, or they'll produce puppies. A cat will produce kittens. Nowhere have you seen a dog producing kittens and a cat producing puppies, right? So every organism will reproduce and make its own kind. So that starts all the way from a unicellular organism all the way to a multicellular organism. Just that there are different ways in which they do this. So they can do it asexually or they can do it sexually. Now, asexual mode of reproduction is where only one parent is involved. That means in asexual reproduction only one organism is there. While in sexual reproduction, two organisms or two parents are involved, right? Now, these two parents are of two genders. So, we have male and female, right? So, we have a male and female involved here, where here we don't use this much, or we don't use that terminology of male and female. Now what happens when only one parent is involved? No, we see that they don't need any special cells to reproduce, or rather no gametes are formed. While here specialized reproductive cells or specialized gametes are produced. So a male will produce a male gamete, right? And a female will produce a female gamete. Now what happens here in asexual reproduction, we see that because no gametes are there, no, what they'll do, they'll just make a, so all the information, if they have to produce a young one, they just cannot make any young one. That young one should be living, which means that they should have information that, hey, after you are brought into the world, you have to do this, you have to do reproduction, you have to do respiration, you have to get nutrition. So they have to say that, you know, what do you say? That information of what they have to do should be passed on. And this information is present in the DNA, right? Or the genetic material. So this information needs to go from parent to offspring. Now in asexual reproduction, this DNA, they make a Xerox copy of this and they send it to their offspring. So here we see that there is no difference between parent and offspring. They are almost identical. Now, if slight differences are there between parent and offspring, like if you look at me and my mother, there are differences. Although we look similar or there are similar things, there is differences, right? There are slight differences. I'm sure that between you and your sibling also, there would be slight differences, right? Yes or no? Between you and your sibling, or you and in your family also, although you are in the same family, there are slight differences that occur, right? So these slight differences that occur is what we call as variation, right? So variation is nothing but slight differences that occur between organisms of the same species. Tilak Gowda, why are you spamming? If there is a process, if there is a problem, you don't spam, right? Please don't spam. Exception being twins. Twins may also, they are not exactly identical if you really look at it. Even in identical twins, you will find some slight differences, right? Some slight variations that are there. Ma'am, Aditya kuch doubt pooch raha hai. Haan, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. For that, I have to just establish genetic variation first, right? Okay. So with this, what do we understand? In organisms like your asexually reproducing organisms, we don't see any variations, right? Or variations are very, very less. While on the other hand, we see that variations are seen in sexually reproducing organisms. Now, what are the asexually reproducing organisms? Your amoeba is there. We see that, you know, we have fungi, which also we see in fungi also. Then, of course, we also see that in plants, right? Through vegetative propagation, we see that that is also a mode or a type of asexual reproduction. While in human beings, as we know that sexual reproduction takes place, which is why amongst the four that we observe, maximum variation is seen in DNA sequence. Now, Aditya has asked me a very good question. Ma'am, there is genetic variation and there is genetic mutation. Yes? Now, how many of us have seen X-Men and all of that where they say, oh, this mutated organism has come and now is taking over the world? How many of us have heard this word mutation, right? Or we'll say that, you know, mutated beings are there. X-Men is the best reference I can give you, right? We always keep seeing all these fancy words thrown into sci-fi movies and then we're like, whoa, so cool, so fancy, you know. We keep saying, keep seeing all these things. But what exactly is this? Let's understand, right? See, genetic variation, like I said, is when there are slight differences, okay? So there are slight differences that occur. Now, in the case of human beings, it's because two parents are there. So some characteristics will come from one parent, some other characteristic will come from this parent, and because of that, It's not identical, but rather some similarities are there, but there are slight differences from the parent also. Now this happens as a mode of reproduction, right? Or because due to some changes we see that fundamentally as a species we are still the same, right? If you look at me and my mother, we see that naturally I may not look like her, but the information of a being is there as is. Now what is mutation? Mutation is when there is a change fundamentally in the DNA, right? Now it could be that, see, our genetic material has a library of information. It has to do this. It needs to contribute to this. It has all this information. And all this information, if you see, is in a code. Just like how we have codes for apps, just like that, it is there in this also. But if there is a change, right? If there is a fundamental change, then we say that it gets mutated. Now it could happen due to multiple reasons. It could happen maybe due to some internal changes. It could happen due to some chemical exposure. It could happen due to multiple changes. But here mutation is very, very different, right? So mutation happens when there is a fundamental change in the DNA sequence that is there, right? So are you clear? Ma'am, is it related to gene science? Yeah, genetic engineering is there, molecular biology is there, lot that you can learn about it, right? So sometimes we by default mutated to understand what would happen if we do this, right? आपका नाम क्या है? मेरा नाम ऐश्वर्या है. Paleontology, study of fossils. Okay. Genetic mutation is a genetic disorder. Not exactly. See, when our cells grow, right? So you take skin cells. Now normally what happens is that our cells have a way of checking if anything goes wrong, right? See, now if my cell has to, we have learned in our lower grades about cell division, whether mitosis or meiosis happens. Not always is that it will be perfect. No, it's not like cells are so perfect in life that every time they reproduce, perfect cell is made. Sometimes some genetic difference could happen, some mutation can happen. But our cells have an ability to keep that in check. That, okay, this cell is defective, something has gone wrong with this cell, it has gotten mutated. So what they'll do, they will destroy the cell internally, right? So we know that cells can get destroyed. But sometimes due to mutation, what could happen? That whoever is responsible for checking the cell, no? If they don't check that cell or if that system gets disrupted, then it can lead to cell growth, uncontrollable cell growth, which is what we call as tumors, which could cause cancer. So now are you clear? Are you understanding that? See, it's a little difficult for me because normally when I come up with a chapter, no, I'll be able to give you a proper story. Right now, in between, say I'm teaching you things, so I know a little bit you are, arey, what is this ma'am talking about, right? Ma'am, genetic problems, yes, we'll do so many of them, don't worry. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, question regarding reproduction kept coming again and again. So how will I answer? See, if you've not, don't worry, I'll first of all teach you. Secondly, what I'll also do is go back and watch the one shot. Read the chapter once by yourself and watch a one shot. In case if you've not understood anything, don't worry. You can ask me and I'll be able to help you out, right? Okay. Don't get carried away in between, students. I know here I deviated a little bit, but question number 4, everybody, on your screens now, right? Yes, slight changes in the DNA. Very good. So come back. Last question on reproduction. After that, we have only life process and this one. Second last question. So here we have the human female reproductive system given to us, and you need to identify the place wherein fertilization and blastocyst, right? Blastocyst implantation takes place. So you have to identify where fertilization happens and where this implantation process happens. Ma'am, second, I don't know. Very good. It's okay. If you don't know the answer, I am fine. I'm completely fine. I think I showed you the answer to this. See, let's label the parts one by one. This is a female reproductive system, right? So we know that part 1 right here, which is part 3, represents the ovary. So part 3 here is ovary. Next up, we have part 2 here, which represents the oviduct or the fallopian tube, right? Now, a little bit of it I've already explained, so this has to be easy for us. Now, part 1 refers to this pear-shaped organ, right? So, here we see that there's a pear-shaped organ, which means that part 1 is my uterus. Then we have part 4, which represents the external genitalia, which right here is the vagina, right? So, these are your 4 parts. Now, we need to identify where fertilization happens. Now, where will fertilization happen? fertilization is going to happen in the oviduct, or we see that fertilization is a process of fusion of male and female gametes. So in this case, we see that fertilization will happen here. While on the other hand, blastocyst is a stage of development, right? So implantation is your keyword. Where will the fertilized egg or the zygote, which is undergoing transformation, where will it come, right? Where will it implant or get lodged? This is very simple, right? We know that implantation or further development of the young one will happen inside the uterus. So we see that answer is uterus and fallopian tube. Now based on this, you have to identify which is the correct answer, because I forgot to show you the options. Ma'am, galat bata diya. Arey, koi nahi, it's okay, it happens. Ma'am, I don't know, but I'll try to answer. That is the spirit, because I know. I was also feeling very bad, right? I was also feeling very bad that I've not taught the chapter yet and I have some questions coming, right? Yeah, so I know that sometimes I feel very guilty when I have to teach something which I have not taught from the scratch. So that is why it's okay. We both will muscle through and I'll make it a point that I help you out. Yes? Ma'am, last year's paper, ANTHE strategy, let me tell you one thing with ANTHE. Always try to solve, right? More practice needs to come, right? More and more practice. And I'll come up with a specific strategy session of how to practice for ANTHE when you have less time as well. So that way you will be able to help you out. Very good. Answer is very easy. Correct answer is option A. Who said B? 3 here is ovary. 3 is ovary. 2 is fallopian tube, right? 2 is fallopian tube and 1 here is going to be your implantation or blastocyst, right? So it is 1 and 2. Now here order doesn't matter, right? Order doesn't matter as long as you are able to get the correct answer. Ma'am, I did not get this. Ma'am, it should be 2 and 1. I know it should be 2 and 1, but technically from the options, you have to figure out which is the most correct answer. I know if you are writing the answer, you will write 2 and 1, but the most ideal answer should be A. So option A, right? Are we clear? Arey, how can you say 3? Because 3 is ovary, right? We know that ovary may production of gamete happens. Implantation is happening in 1, which is uterus. So are we clear with this? Oh, Ritika, is it so? I'm also not sure. See, especially when it comes to understanding impact of radioactivity, impact of chemicals on cells and how they cause tumor growth, all of that is still under a lot of research. So if you are interested in it, this is something you can definitely check out, right? Okay. Moving on. Oh, I'm very happy. Now there are some questions which you will be able to solve. This is a very, very interesting. Ma'am, we said B because 2 is for fertilization. But you have to check the combination. See, you have to check the combination of answers. Now, this one is a very easy but tough question. Refer to the flow chart, not low chart, but flow chart given and identify what is P, Q, R and S and select the correct statement regarding to them. Now, this is a very yes or no kind of thing, right? Now, based on this, you have to figure out which would be the correct one. So shall we first solve what is P, Q, R and S? Shall we all solve what is P, Q, R and S? Shall we do it together? Okay. So Subhash has already told me. Thank you, Mahima. Thank you so much. But please don't spam. Okay, you give me the answers. Okay. Okay, Manyata. No problem. Okay. So let's have a look. This is very, very interesting question. If you get this, actually you will get marks. Now, we are saying that statement 1 here says that it is a type of endocrine gland. Now, you have yes and you have no. That means if yes, we progress to the next one. If no, you have to stop there, right? It is a type of endocrine gland. If not, what can it be? If it is not an endocrine gland, what will it be? It will be an exocrine gland, no? So, P will be any exocrine gland. Now, it could be salivary gland, it could be it could be salivary gland, it could be sweat gland, it could be anything. But here it is basically a exocrine gland. P could be anything. Now, if it is an endocrine gland, we will move to statement number 2. Now, statement 2 here says that it is known as a master gland. Now, if it is known as a master gland, then what will we call it? Very good. Q will be pituitary gland. Yes? So we have identified this. Q is going to be pituitary gland. Now if it is not the master gland, we see that it is paired, or this, if it is not the master gland, then it is a paired gland that is present on top of each kidney. Now if it is present on top of each kidney, and yes, then what is R going to be? Right? What is R going to be? R is going to be my adrenal gland. Yes? It is my adrenal gland. Very simple. Now if it is not my adrenal gland, my S could be any other gland, right? My S could be any other endocrine gland. It could be my thyroid gland, it could be the ovaries, it could be the testes, it could be, probably thymus. It could be, say, any other endocrine gland. So I'm going to write this as any other endocrine gland. Now I hope all of you have written this down. If you have written this down, then based on this, identify or select the correct statement. So I am going to give you 2 minutes of time to read through the options. Now read through the options very carefully and give me the answer. Yes? Yes, AV. S is any other endocrine gland other than pituitary and your adrenal. It could be any other than the two that we have discussed. Crazy maker. Tamil mein nahi, it's not going to happen. Okay. We will still learn in English. P could be hypothalamus. It's a very far-fetched answer. See, endocrine, if not endocrine, then it's exocrine. Hypothalamus may, then you're bringing unnecessary confusion. So I would say that you don't go for hypothalamus per se. Okay, I can see my answers coming between A and D. Okay, A, D. My question is, समझ में नहीं आ गया. It's okay. Is this for ANTHE? This can come in ANTHE, a version of this. This can come in Olympiads also if it comes, right? Ma'am, आप रोज आती हो इस class में? नहीं, I have class only on Wednesdays. Ma'am, pancreas is both exo and endo. हाँ. How can I practice ANTHE? ANTHE mock tests and sample papers are available on the website. You can check that out. So now I can see that lot of doubts are coming between A, D and B. Okay, let's solve this together. P could be, okay, we are talking about which is the correct statement. Now it says that P could be pancreas that is located below the stomach. Now I know you will tell me, ma'am, P, we said that it could be exocrine gland. Now pancreas is mixed gland. Pancreas is something which can be endocrine. It can be exocrine also, right? But A could be correct. But they're saying it is located below the stomach. Is pancreas located below the stomach? Where is the pancreas located? Is it located below or is it located behind the stomach? Pancreas is located below the stomach or is pancreas located behind the stomach? You tell me. What is the location of the pancreas? Below, behind. Oh, that's the catch. Yes, that is the catch. See, sometimes you'll have to read the options very, very carefully, right? Give me my... Hey, y'all pay attention in class, randomly asking me about Instagram ID and all that. You pay attention. Okay, as a friend. First you pay attention. See, it's behind the stomach, not below the stomach, right? So here, this is not the correct statement. Now it says that Q could be a gland that lowers calcium level. No, Q is master glands. Secretes stimulating hormones and hormones that regulate the function of other endocrine glands. B, no. R is a gland that releases an hormone that regulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen. C is absolutely not the answer. Because we know that R produces adrenaline. It does not produce glucagon. It does not produce insulin, right? Which means S is the only potential one. Because S could be any organ, right? Any other endocrine gland. Which is why we see that S could be a gland that releases a hormone that stimulates the development of lymphocytes. Now this right here is a function that we see in the case of thymus gland. Which is why in this case we see that the correct answer here is option D. Are we clear? Yes? Are we all clear? Ma'am, why behind? That is where the pancreas is located. How will I say why? That is where the location is, no? Now I can't do anything about that. ठीक है? Good. Good question, no? Very good question. Ma'am, then which gland is S? S is thymus gland. S is thymus in this case. Define pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is the master gland, right? It is the master gland that controls the functioning. Okay. Ma'am, यहाँ gulu gulu चल रहा है. हाँ, dinner time, no? Yes. Okay. Now next up, you have an image given to you of the cross section of the heart. So quickly identify what is X, Y and Z. Now once we identify X, Y and Z, we will look at the options. Okay? Ma'am, I did not understand. Sujata, which question did you not understand? Is it the previous one? Patna ji, now you come and say Menti. What am I going to do? What can I do? Next week I'll do Menti. See, first week PPT mein I will solve so that you get an idea of how to solve. Then I will do Menti so that you will solve. Thymus is a gland. It's a gland. Very good. So what is our... Now this right here is a cross section of your heart, right? So draw the box on top of this and you can solve it. Now X right here is your right atrium. Very good. Okay. Now Y is Z right here is your left atrium. Now what is Y? What is Y? Very quickly. You have right atrium, left atrium. Then what is Y? Very good. Pulmonary vein. Yes. So this right here is your pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein which brings in your oxygenated blood to the left side. Yes? Now based on this, these are your options. And quickly let me give you a hint. This is a MSQ. Now this is an MSQ which means that multiple answers are correct. And you need to identify which are the statements which are correct for the above depicted diagram. So whenever you have diagram based questions, don't even read the options first. Solve for this particular diagram, identify the parts. Then only you will be able to get it. Yes? Bicuspid or tricuspid valves होते हैं. जैसे flap like structures which are present between atrium and ventricle, right? So bicuspid, tricuspid we see on the right side between right atrium and right ventricle. Bicuspid we see between left atrium and left ventricle. Both what do? They prevent the backflow of blood so that ventricle say it should not go back to the atrium, right? So they prevent that backflow. Yes. Sujata, can I explain that question towards the end if you don't mind? Because I've progressed, so which is why I will do that towards the end. Yes? Very good, very good. Yes, very proud. Correct answers are A, B and... Who said A, B, C? A, B, D. Ha. A, B, D. Correct answer. Y carries oxygen-rich blood. Yes, we know pulmonary vein carries oxygen-rich blood. Parts labeled X and Z are thin-walled upper chambers. Atria are the upper chambers, while your ventricles are the lower chambers. Right? Easy. This is very simple. This is very, very simple. Next up, it says the part labeled X receives blood from pulmonary artery. No. Part labeled X does not receive blood from pulmonary artery. It receives blood from the vena cava. So this is wrong. Now this says that part labeled Z, which is my left atrium, contracts and pours blood into left ventricle. This is so easy. Students, this is very direct. If you got X, Y and Z, why were you not able to solve this? How many of you unnecessarily got confused in this whole one? This was so direct. Very simple and direct question. Nothing, no fancy things here in this. Easy peasy. Don't get scared looking at all this X, Y and Z. All this is here to just scare you. Okay? They're only there to scare you. Don't get scared looking at questions. Get rid of fear. See, fear is the only thing that stops us from growing. You got to get rid of fear. Ma'am, left ventricle is thicker than right because left ventricle has to pump blood to different parts of the body. Right has to just pump it till the lungs. Right? Okay. Moving on. I love this question. It's very, very interesting. Super duper awesome question. I mean, when I was solving it, I really enjoyed it. So an experiment was conducted in the laboratory and it has been tabulated. Test tube A has saliva, iodine and it's been kept. Incubation means it's kept for some time. Now next one. Test tube B has starch, saliva and it has been incubated for some time. Test tube C has starch, saliva, an enzyme inhibitor. That means a substance which will inhibit the enzyme, right? Then we have incubation and we've added iodine after that. Now which among the following? So now you will get some reaction, some colors will appear, right? So in this case, which is the correct answer? Yes? Which right here would be the correct answer? Which is a combination that will be correct? Ma'am B, ma'am C, ma'am A or D? D. A. Okay, read. See, don't be in a hurry to answer. I can see some of you are in a very big hurry to give me answer. Don't go back, read the question once again and give me the answer. Ma'am, only B. Ma'am, A or D? See, incubation means that we have kept it for some time. That's all. I left my test tube for some time. I have incubated it or kept it for some time. Okay. Confused. Okay. Now, how many of you like this question? This is a very good question. Can come in your board exam also, just saying, okay. This is a proper application based question. This is pakka application. Everything about this question is application. I loved this question when I saw that, right? I really loved the question. To be honest, let me tell you, I went wrong when I solved it for the first time. Just saying. Good. Now we will solve. And then I'll show you the options again and you give me the answer. Okay? Okay. Now you have test tube A, wherein we see that you have saliva and iodine and you have incubated it for some time. Now see, what does saliva have? Saliva has salivary amylase that is going to act on your, starch, right? Now starch is not there. So which means that if you look at saliva, it's a colorless fluid. But you've added iodine, which is like a yellowish, brownish color. So now, if iodine is added to saliva, what color will come? No color. Or will it have the color of iodine? Will there be no color? Or will it have the color of iodine? Now you tell me. It will have the color of iodine, right? Incubated means it's just kept for some time. Very simple. Think about it. Here it is not going to be no color. It will have the color of iodine, which is going to be your brownish yellow color, right? So here it will have yellow as per the question. Now next up you have starch and saliva. Now here, if only starch and saliva is there, we know that reaction will happen. But color per se will not be there. No, there is no color. So in this case, what will happen? Here there is no color. But very interesting part is the next one. You have starch, saliva, then you have enzyme inhibitor. Now what is an enzyme inhibitor? Enzyme inhibitor is a substance that will not allow the enzyme to function. That means even if my saliva is added with a starch solution, my salivary amylase cannot react because I have added an enzyme inhibitor. So that means that my enzyme inhibitor is telling salivary amylase don't act on starch. So simple, this is just a starch and iodine reaction which will give me blue-black. Right? So it will give me blue-black. Yes? Going back once again, saliva and iodine. Iodine will only form a blue-black complex with starch, not with anything else. Which is why in this case we see that this will be yellow. Why B is having no color? Because see, if you take a starch solution and you add saliva to it, even if the reaction happens, you are not getting a colored reaction, right? You may get like a whitish faint color, but it's colorless, right? You are not getting, say, a blue color or a blue-black color. It's pretty much the same, right? Which is why we say as good as no color, because maltose formation is happening. Exactly. But again, in this case, when you look at your test tube C, you have enzyme inhibitor that is there, that is inhibiting salivary amylase. That means it is not allowing salivary amylase to act on my starch. Which is why here what will happen? Starch will directly react with iodine, letting the blue-black color form. So in this case, which is the correct answer now from the 4 options? From these 4 options, which is my correct combination? Think about it. Which is going to be my correct combination of questions? Very good. The correct answer is going to be option A. So you will have to read. Now this is not a topic that you don't know. And let me tell you, somewhere at the bottom of my heart, I really feel like even in your board exams, you are going to get this experiment-based question with respect to starch and effect of salivary amylase. There could be multiple combinations that they give you. So make it a point that you know the approach. See, you are all very quick to answer. You are not reading thoroughly. Take your time. With such questions, you stop for a minute and take your time, right? Ma'am, how can we know color? Array, Iodine ka color to we all know, no? Iodine ka color we've been, how many times I've told you, if iodine test is positive, brownish or blue black, what do you say, brownish yellow, whatever it be, it will turn blue black, right? Iodine ka color to we should know. Then of course we see that in test tube C, right? Iodine starch ka reaction we know, we've been learning from our lower grades. So this is a application in multiple levels, right? Are we clear? Are we all clear with this question? Yes, no? Ma'am, good question. Did you enjoy this question? Right? It's not easy. Ma'am, I was so confused. Hey, all these questions I'm telling you, no, they all look fancy. And I know, first time when I read, I actually marked it wrong. I actually told, array, no, options are only wrong. Congratulations, ma'am, 300K. Is it? We thought it will happen tomorrow. But, array, in mine it's still showing 299. Okay, let's see. But anyway, we hit 300,000. That's awesome. Very happy. Ma'am, explain B. Array, B may, see, starch plus saliva is not going to give you blue-black until you add iodine, which is why this is not correct. Now, when again, saliva plus iodine is not going to give you no color because iodine will impart a color, right? Which is why in this case, what do we see? Correct answer is option A. Yes? Okay. We'll move on to question number 8, everybody. Yes. Next one is again from How Do Organisms? Last question. Oh ma'am, congratulations in advance. Thank you. We have our screen getting recorded for when it turns 300K. So we have all sorts of nice plans for that. Okay. This again, if you go wrong, I will not say anything because I'm not taught this chapter. So I feel very bad when I say that, Arey ma'am, you didn't teach it yet, but you're asking questions. But it's there in ANTHE. Okay, which of the following methods has the maximum chance of preventing STD? Now, STD here stands for sexually transmitted diseases, right? So this means that these are diseases like gonorrhea, you can say that gonorrhea, AIDS, these are all examples of sexually transmitted disease. That means that through sexual contact. Now, no need to do hee hoo hoo and all that. You are all young adults, okay? So I'm going to treat you like young adults and be mature about it. So during sexual contact, we see that at times, if say one individual is say infected, there is a chance that through sexual contact it can be transmitted through another individual, right? So that is what we understand here by sexually transmitted diseases. That means it can be spread through bodily fluids. It's as simple as that. Now, which has the maximum chance of, what do you say, which among the following that is there is the maximum chance of preventing such an STD? Yes? Prakul, please stop it. Just requesting you to stop. Now, of course, right, in this particular case, we see that, right? In this particular case, we see that we have something called as vasectomy and tubectomy. Now, these are all, what do you say, diaphragm, vasectomy, tubectomy, condoms. This right here, as you see, are all ways of, what do you say, contraceptives. So these are all different methods of contraception. Or they're all different ways of different methods of contraception, you could say. What is contraception? Contraception is preventing the act of preventing pregnancy from happening, right? So these will not allow a person to get pregnant. Yes? Now, of course, that means that there are multiple ways. You can do it surgically. Surgically is by tubectomy and vasectomy, right? So here this is two surgical methods, that is tubectomy and vasectomy. Now, what is vasectomy? That is when you cut the sperm duct, right? So when you ligate or when you cut it and tie it such that the sperms will actually not be given out, right? Or it will actually, what do you say, when the sperms are produced within the male's body, they will not actually be given out, right? Or they will not be, what do you say, ejaculated out. So that is vasectomy. But tubectomy is when you again tie ligate or you cut the fallopian tube such that fertilization does not happen, right? But here again, if you see, it is not blocking sexual contact. In both cases, it's not blocking sexual contact. So this is not going to happen. Now you have diaphragm and condoms. Now these are two barrier methods. So they create a physical barrier such that the sperm and the egg cannot meet. Now female condoms are what you call as your diaphragm, and this again is something that is inserted in and it creates a barrier. And then you have male condoms which is worn by the males, right? Now which creates a better barrier, right, amongst the four that shows maximum chance from preventing a transmission from happening. that will be the condoms, right? Because again, we see that this forms a proper barrier such that STDs cannot be transmitted. So are we all clear? Are we all clear with this? Yes? Oral pills are different. Oral pills will modify the hormones such that either the ovulation will not happen, right? So that's the function with oral pills. They change the hormonal, or they have an impact with the hormonal balance. Yes? Ma'am, tubectomy and vasectomy are permanent. Vasectomy can be reversible. Tubectomy is something they say like it can have complications, right? Yes. Ma'am, then where will they go, the sperms? In the so basically when ejaculation happens, it will be collected in the condoms, right? Ma'am, diaphragm do the same thing. Diaphragm is different. It acts as a physical barrier such that the sperms cannot penetrate or go further into the female reproductive system, right? Yes. Are you all clear? I will explain this anyway. Ye wala thing I need a longer time to explain. I've done crash course type explanation at this point. Given you very crisp explanations, but okay. Corpus luteum and all that I will teach when I do in detail, right? Today now I'm just specifically talking about what is there. Ma'am, female condom is also there. Yeah, diaphragm. That is what we call as female condom. Ma'am, in vasectomy, where will they get accumulated? So basically what will happen is that over a period of time, right, the sperms after one point they'll not be able to survive, right? So they will all be, there are ways in which they'll be removed from the body. Yes? Estrogen, female sex hormone. Yes. Ma'am, I'm not still done with this chapter. It's okay if it is not done yet. It's okay if it is not done. I will anyway be able to teach you and I'll go in detail, so not a problem, right? Copper T is also used as a contraceptive, right? So they are normally inserted into the female body, in the female, especially in the uterus, such that they produce certain copper ions that kill the sperms. So once the, sperms enter into the female tract, they'll get killed so that they don't go further. Yes? Moving on, select the incorrect match. Select the incorrect match. Ma'am, it would hurt, right? The surgical methods, see, there are less invasive methods. They're not very invasive. So they do it in such a way that minimal, right? Minimal pain is there. Ma'am, why sperms are used for pregnancy? Sperms are needed so that male and female gamete can fuse, resulting in formation of zygote. Zygote is what will develop into the child. Yes? Easy peasy, select the incorrect match. You have thyroid, pituitary gland, pancreas and ovaries. You have to figure out which is the incorrect option. I think this is an MSQ. Okay, no, actually not. Thank you, Mahima. Okay, A and C. Okay, let's look at the options we can rule out. See, here we see that the pituitary gland that is there stimulates growth hormone. So we know that this is the correct match. We know that ovaries that are there help in controlling the growth and functioning of the secondary sexual characters, right? While on the other hand, when you look at it, thyroid that is there. Now I know many of you are saying, ma'am, how this thyroid we know produces thyroxine, right? Thyroxine is supposed to be the one that helps in Thyroxine is the one that should be controlling metabolism. Then what are you saying that it reduces or lowers calcium levels? Now, although NCERT only talks about your thyroid gland producing thyroxine, there is one more hormone which it produces, that is calcitonin, right? So we know that that is responsible for regulating the calcium levels. But the most obvious incorrect match is pancreas. Differentiation of T lymphocytes in immune system. Pancreas, though we all know, right? We all know about pancreas. It is responsible for secreting insulin. It is responsible for secreting glucagon, right? So how can you say that A is the correct answer when we know that there's an obvious incorrect match which is going to be differentiation of T lymphocytes? Now I confused you by saying that there could be an MSQ and you all gave in. Ma'am has told, so it should be correct. Don't fall in for all this, right? Don't fall in easily saying, if ma'am has told, then this is the correct answer. That is not the case. We know that this is the function of your thymus gland that is there, right? You, ma'am, I'm from ICSE board. Is this worth watching? Absolutely, right? It is absolutely worth it. Autonomous nervous system that is there is a part of your peripheral nervous system, right? Which controls various activities that take place. Okay. Ma'am, Kalyug mein kisi ka... Oh, Subhash, that's very deep. But no, I mean, in this case, sometimes I could confuse you, right? Awesome. We'll move on to question number 10, everybody. Shall we all move on to question number 10? This is a very simple one, and this, I will be honest with all of you, this is an MSQ. Now, I'm not lying. I am being very honest. This is a MSQ for everyone. Simple diffusion is not able to meet the requirement of all cells in multicellular organisms because all cells are not in direct contact, no specific organs are needed for specific functions, entire surface of the organism is in contact with the surrounding, or the body size of the as the body size increases, the design becomes complex. Okay. Just give me one moment, I'll just drink some water. TSW, IVF is in vitro fertilization, which is normally done as so it's basically done in laboratories where fertilization happens outside, and let's say at an embryo stage it is inserted into the young one. A&D, very good. Now this is again an assertion reason question that has come from in your board exams. Okay, normally this question comes as assertion reason. Now we know that simple diffusion is a method by which gaseous exchange takes place, or we know that movement of substances happens in lower organisms like unicellular organisms like your amoeba and everything, because they're just one single cell and the whole body that is there, or the whole cell surface can be in contact with the surroundings. But as the organism grows, the body design changes. We know that there is more organization that happens, more cells group together to form more advanced structures, and we know that not all cells will come in contact. Which is why in this case, what do we see? Our correct answer that is there is going to be option A and D. Because all cells are not in contact with all cells are not in contact with the direct surroundings, and we know that complexity of the organism, especially in multicellular organisms, right, that increases. So that is your two keywords. This is a MSQ, this one. Thank you, Prachi. Thank you so much, right? Zygote is a single cell structure which is formed by the fusion of male and female gamete. MSQ stands for multi-select. That means more than one option. Ma'am, no specific organs are needed in specific function. How can we say that about, multicellular organisms? We don't have specific organs. Absolutely not. Now, we do have specific organs. So, that is incorrect. Moving on, question number 11. 5 more questions, फटाफट we'll finish it off. Okay, they're all easy ones after this. Ma'am, sorry, अगर आपको बुरा, hey, no, what are you saying? Guys, don't be sorry. See, if I'm treating you as adults, I can also take jokes, right? You imagine what kind of a mentor or what kind of a teacher would I be if I can't take 1 or 2 jokes from all of you? I crack jokes with all of you that you don't feel bad. Then if you crack jokes at me, then that's okay. Or you say something, it's fine. Okay. Simple. I know you should like this. Arey, I didn't even check the likes. I feel like, oh, very, very bad, huh? Very few likes on this video. You should hit the like button. Which of the following process, this is board level question. Now what is being shown? This is your Bowman's capsule, right? This is your Bowman's capsule, and I'm too lazy to write the whole thing, but okay, Bowman's capsule. This is your glomerulus. What does glomerulus do? What is the main function? Very good. Function of glomerulus is to do glomerular filtration, which is why answer is option B, filtration of blood. Not reabsorption, not storing urine, not conducting. You should be able to identify this. Okay, don't mislead your friends either. Yes, vasopressin, that is there is your antidiuretic, that it's another name for antidiuretic hormone, right? Ma'am, is NCRT enough for PCB? 11th, 12th may more or less yes, for NEET especially, right? But extra practice questions and solving a lot of PYQs will help you for NEET. And of course, Ankita ma'am is there in NEET for Akash BYJU'S. She is there. Ma'am, agar hum ye 15 questions easy lagate, to hum bhi, if I made all easy questions, I mean, if you found these 15 easy, that means you have a good chance of cracking ANTHE, but more practice is required, right? 10 more minutes, Sangeeta. But if you want to eat right now, you can eat along with watching the class. X is the male reproductive part of a flower which produces pollen. X is made up of what and what? This you should... let me remind you. MSQ. Otherwise, you will tell me, Arey ma'am. 7th standard chapter. This is 7th standard knowledge, okay? That's how easy it is. Now, again, this comes in sexual reproduction in flowering plants, and we know that in flowering plants especially, sexual reproduction takes place because they have male and female part. Now, the male part that is there is what we call as the stamen, and the female part that is there is what we call as the pistil, right? So, this is what we call as the pistil. Now, the stamen that is there is the male reproductive part, which is made up of the filament, and it is made up of anther. So, then what should our answer be? In this case, our answer should be both A and B, right? Very simple and easy. Okay. Now, this is a repeated question from, I think, long ago. I remember I've solved this question. Given in the following figures are 4 different setups to show that carbon dioxide is released during respiration. Now, identify which flask may or where will you see the desired result. Yes? This is a repeated question. So, we've sneaked in some board questions also. See, I'll tell you one thing, whatever prep questions we do, right? We make it a point 1 or 2 is also helpful for you for your board exam. Should not be that I gave you all essay questions way beyond. 1, 2 for boards I'll give you. If you don't mind, I'll just drink some water. Spurti, oral pills are a type of contraceptive methods that is used for creating a which changes the hormonal. They are hormonal pills basically that changes hormone levels such that pregnancy cannot occur. What is ANTHE? ANTHE stands for Akash National Talent Hunt Exam, and we know that this is very helpful, especially if you are somebody who is aspiring to write JEE or NEET. MSQ ka matlab multi-select questions. I know I've done this before. See, we know that for a living or for respiration to happen, we know that they have to be living, right? Now, in the case of dry seeds or dry gram seeds, these are not living, right? So, we know that these right here are not living. They are dormant, which means that they are not very active. So, in this case, if they are not active, they will not be respiring. Now, when you boil a seed or when you roast a seed, it is no longer living, right? With heat and everything, you have killed it off. So, it is no longer living. But a seed which is germinating, now a seed which is germinating is growing, right? So if it is growing, then it is living. Now if it is growing, it also requires energy. So in this case, only the germinating seed that is there will end up showing, what do you say? The germinating gram seed that is there will end up showing the desired result, right? So the correct answer here is option D. Very simple, right? Very simple and easy. See, GDS, ma'am, difference between viral and bacterial sexually transmitted is a causative agent. Debashri, causative agent in a viral, see, bacterial one that is there, the causative agent will be a bacteria. In the viral one, the causative agent is a virus. Simple. Yes? Okay. Moving on to the last question. We've reached question number 15. Okay. Given is a diagram of the human heart. Now show the blood vessels which carry blood to the heart, to the lungs and from the lungs. Yes? Ma'am, how do germinating seeds release CO2? They perform photosynthesis. Harshit, they need to respire also, no? If they have to grow, they need energy. If they have to get energy, then they have to do respiration. Simple. Yes? Okay. Now this is a very easy question. I need all of you to give me the answer to this. Jaldi, jaldi. And in the meanwhile, hope all of you have hit the like button on the video also. To the lungs. See, one is carrying deoxygenated blood. How is... okay, I will revise and tell everybody. Look at the images once again. I'm getting 2 answers. I'm getting 2 and 4 and I'm getting 3 and 4. 2 answers are coming my way. 2 and 4, 2 and 4. Cyril, Meenu, many of you are saying 2 and 4 only. 2 and 4, very good, very good. Okay, many of you have actually given me 2 and 4 only as the answer. Where did I see 3 and 4 then? 2 and 3. Okay, I got 2 and 3 as another combination. 2 and 3, okay. 2 and 4. Good. Locking the answers now. I am locking. Ma'am, I am only giving. Okay, 1, 3 and 4 combination is there. 2 and 4, 2 and 4. The majority has given me 2 and 4. No, not 2 and 3. Ashwini has now said, ma'am, not 3, 2 and 3. Now 3 and 1. Okay, I am deleting this because many of you have actually got it correctly. Look at the arrows. Now this is where people who made silly mistakes. Look at the arrows. One is showing that it is bringing blood to the heart, right? And which side is it coming? It is coming to the right side. So which blood vessel is 1? Which blood vessel here is 1? Tell me jaldi jaldi. Blood vessel that is bringing blood, right, to the right side and especially to the right atrium. So this right here is my vena cava, right? So 1 is my vena cava. Now from here I see a vein or I see a blood vessel going away from the heart. Arrow is pointing upwards. It is going away from the heart. So the only blood vessel that goes away from the heart and carries deoxygenated blood is pulmonary artery, right? So 2 right here is pulmonary artery which transports blood to the heart, to the lungs. So 2 is one answer. Now what is 3? 3 and 4 is where it gets tricky. Now look at the arrow. Here we see that the arrow is leaving, right? While in 4 it is coming. So that means 4 right here is my pulmonary vein. I saw 2, 3 of you made silly mistakes. While 3 here is aorta, because it is going away from the heart, right? While in this case we see that pulmonary vein is the one coming towards it. So now which are my blood vessels which is transporting blood to and from the lungs? It is going to be 2 and 4, which is pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. Which is why in this case what do we see? See that the correct answer is option D, right? Ma'am, I didn't see the arrows. Students, board exam may be very, very careful because double circulation questions can come. Ma'am, arrow was not visible. Arrow was very chottu, I think. Sorry about that if it was. But it's okay, next time. See, with double circulation or with questions with respect to your heart, always look at the arrows, right? Ma'am, to sunti nahi hai. What am I not listening, Zia? What is it that I did not listen? Okay. So now, students, we come to the end, right? Question number 15 say, we are done today. Now, I want all of you to tell me how are you feeling. Now, I know many of you came right from the beginning and you've stayed till the very end. And if you have stayed till the very end, how are you feeling right now? Arey, ho gaya, session khatam ho gaya. So fast, only 15 questions. Confident, no? 10 out of 10, very good, 10 out of 10 confidence. Thank you. Ma'am, how to participate in ANTHE? Link hai description mein, go and register. Super confident. Oh, Veera is very hungry. I know, it's okay. You can go very soon. Ma'am, concepts are clear. Accomplished. Okay. Yes. What does that even mean? I don't know. Okay. Ma'am, share the revision link. So after this particular session, what I will do, I will tag a video where you can watch the one shot of how do organisms reproduce. This has been done by Ankita ma'am earlier, so you can watch those classes and I will anyway be taking it up once again. Because in those questions, so now when we do it this time around, we'll also be doing questions side by side. So that way, as you can see, we'll be able to help out, right? Now, if you enjoyed this class, I request all of you to let me know in the comments because as you all know, right, our team puts a lot of effort in making the kind of questions that you see. It's very important that they sit and they select from hundreds and thousands of questions just so that you enjoy 15 questions or 1.5 hours, right? Okay, so now this is a homework question for all of you where if a person's liver does not have a bile duct, then what would happen or which process is going to help you out? Yes, or which process will get affected? You have to let me know the answer in the comments of this video. I will be checking your answers for sure. And as you all know, students, with this, our time for today is up. Now, next week, of course, we will be having a mentee quiz. I promise you a mentee quiz next week and I will bring a mentee quiz. But when we do that, we will need, or I need you to make sure you commit yourself when you are doing that because after that, your, ANTHE sessions or your ANTHE examination will start, right? Okay. So with this, everybody, I think I will be signing off. I know many of you are very hungry. Many of you have your examinations going on also. If you have your examinations going on, all the very best. When your results come, please do share your results with us. We'd like to know how well you've done, right? So everybody, please go have dinner. I know it's dinner time and make sure you get good rest, good sleep. I will see you all soon. But up until then, students, if you enjoy the way we teach, if you enjoy the way you learn with us, do not forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel as well. I'll see you all soon, students. But up until then, lots of love to all of you and bye-bye and good night.